In this video, I'm going to show you how to create a template in ArcGIS. This is going to be a letter size portrait template that you'll be using throughout the semester. All the information that we're drawing on is going to be the layout view. We'll discuss the data view later in this course. So let me get started. I'm going to go ahead and start my ArcGIS. I'm going to come over and go File, New, and I'm going to start with my blank map. I'm going to click OK, and I'm going to go ahead and save the file, and I'm going to save it as portrait letter template. Okay, I'm just going to save it to my desktop. You can save it to your flash drive at school. Just make sure if you do save it to the desktop, then you send it to yourself. So I'm going to save. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and set up my map projection. You're always going to have a map projection in our drawings. And I'm going to go ahead and set this one as the Florida East State Plains, because most of the projects we'll be working on in class are going to be over by the Valencia College, which is State Plain Florida's east. So I'm going to right click on layers. I'm going to go to properties. I'm going to click on, if your coordinate system tab doesn't pop up first, let's say your general falls up first, then you're going to go to coordinate system, and then you're going to go to projected coordinate systems. Now, like I said, we're going to use the state plains, state plane. So click the plus next to the state plane, and we're going to go to the NAD, which stands for the North American Datum, the 1983 HARN, H-A-R-N, and we're going to use the U.S. feet. Click the plus sign and scroll down until you find Florida East. Pick Florida East and it'll fill out all this information. We'll discuss map projections in class later. Apply and OK. Now, the next thing I want to do is notice up here in your map scale. I want to change that map scale to 1200. This isn't in the PDF directions, but I'm going to go ahead and tell you to do it here now. So I'll go ahead and hit enter. And now I'm in the data view. I want to change over to this little tab. I know it's kind of small. Right next to it says data or layout view. So I'm going to go ahead and switch to layout view. The next thing is I have all these toolbars down here. You may not have them, so I'm going to go ahead and get rid of them and show you how to bring those toolbars in. All the toolbars that are on the bottom are going to be used for the layout view. I like to organize my drawing or my maps as in all the toolbars at the top are going to be for my data view, which holds all my layers and information in the data view. Whereas I want all the toolbars for the layout view down here at the bottom so I can organize my tool space or my workspace. So to get those toolbars, I'm going to right click here at the top in this gray area, and I'm going to select draw, and I'm just going to drag this and drop it to the bottom. Right click, I'm going to select graphics, drag it down to the bottom, and then the last one I'm going to need is going to be layout, and I'm just going to drag it to the bottom. Now I'm using a Surface Pro on this, so I don't have a lot of screen space, so I'm going to be doing everything in a small area. Alright, the next thing that I want to do is see this blue cyan line. That is where we have information. It's like, I always refer it back to AutoCAD. It's like paper space, model space. So I'm going to click on it and I'm going to move it out of the way. Just, you can pull it, push it, move it out of the way. We will be bringing it back later. Now the next thing that I want to do is I want to set up this page, how I want the guides to work and how to print to the printer. So I'm going to right click on anywhere in this white area outside, right click, and I'm going to go to your page and print setup. Make sure it's, excuse me, letter. I want it to select the use paper setting size, 8.5 by 11, show printer margins outline. Do not check this one. The other thing is mine's sent to OneNote. I'm actually going to send mine to a cute PDF writer. But when you do it in class, you may want to send it to the printer in the room. So this is something you might have to set up later. But right now, I'm going to send mine using the Cute PDF Writer. And then I'm going to click OK. Now, the next thing that I need to do is I need to set up the Layout tab, how I want it to arrange my layout view. So I'm going to right click on the outside and in this white area, and I'm going to go to, oops, I keep clicking, and go to Arc Map Options. You have multiple tabs here. I need you to click on the Layout tab. Now I need you to change if yours isn't already there, the smallest division needs to be 0.1 inches. And I want to show the grid at 0.1, 0.1, and I want the snap tolerance to be 0.1 also. In the directions posted originally, there was an error in this, but now I'm just showing you it in this video. Apply and OK. What that does is I'm going to zoom into this area up here. If I use this zoom tool, it's actually zooming into my data view. I'm going to click down here and use this zoom in tool. Now, my toolbars may not be set exactly like yours. It depends on where you drag and drop. Just get familiar with where these little icons, what little icons you're using. To zoom in, I use this little icon here. To zoom extents, basically, to zoom the whole page, you click that one. Zoom 1 to 1. However you're needing to zoom about. I usually use my windows and then zoom all. The reason I want to zoom in so I can show you is there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 tabs, or 10 ticks. That's going to be what I'm going to use to set up my guides. Now, to set up your guides, go ahead, and the other thing is there's no escape. Some of us in AutoCAD tend to like to use escape. To get out of a command, click the black arrow down here at the bottom or the black arrow here at the top. It'll get you out of the command. Now we need to set up our margins and our grid lines. So when I'm going to right click, I'm going to click on guidelines or guides. When I click that, and if I click up here at the top, see that the little arrow there? It's actually a guideline. I'm going to clear it. Now, if I click on guides again and I click up here, you can see a cyan line. I'm using those cyan lines as guides, so when I'm drawing, I can actually create the template based on those guidelines. And I'll show you in a minute. So I'm going to go ahead and clear this. Now, the next thing I want to do is I want to set guides along the top and along the right-hand side or left-hand side. I want to create guides that are at 0.6 from the top, so there's 0.5 and 0.6, okay? So I'm setting the guides from 0.6 and 8.2. There's 8, there's 0.1, there's 0.2. On the left-hand side, I'm going to set the guide or the ruler bar, this is a ruler, at 10.7, so there's 10.5, 10.6, 10.7. I'm going to scroll down, and I'm going to do it at, oops, let me zoom all, zoom whole. Now I need to zoom to the bottom so I can see it. I need to set a guide at, escape out of that, I want to set a guide at 0.2, okay? So right now what I have, let me zoom all, is a boundary for my box. Notice that I have more room over here than I do on this side. This is so when I go to paper punch holes in this, I won't accidentally clip my drawing. Alright, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use in my draw toolbar, I'm going to create a rectangle. So I'm going to create a rectangle, and notice that when I click on it, it automatically wants to pull to the guide. If I pull this close, it automatically grips to it because I've got my guide snaps on. Now, I want to change that yellow look to a different color. So I'm going to go ahead and right click. Let's say I didn't have it highlighted. When I pick it, that yellow area, it automatically gives me these grips, these cyan grips. I'm going to right click and I'm going to go to properties. I'm going to change the fill color into a white color. And then, I'm sorry, to a no color. No color, and my outline is going to come down here and just be black. And I want that width to be 1.5. I'm going to apply and change, or okay. What I basically done is created a border for my first part of my project. The next thing I need is I need to set up guides again, but this time I'm going to zoom in, and at the top I'm going to set it up to be, go ahead and click the arrow to get out of it. I'm going to set it up at 0.7, so there's 5, 6, 7, 3.2, 3.1, 3.2, 7, and then I'm going to come down at the bottom on the left hand side, and I'm going to set it at 1, 2, and 2.1. Alright, now make sure I have them all. 0.7. Okay, so I'm set. Excuse me. So the next thing that I want to do is I want it to look like the finished product, and let me show you what it's going to end up looking like. I'm going to go to the PDF instructions. What I'm making it end up looking like is, if I can get there, is to look like this. I want the end result to look like, to look like this when I'm finished. Alright? So basically I've created these guidelines, these cyan lines. That's the step that I'm at now. I created those cyan lines. Okay? So I'm going to go back to the GIS. And what I'm going to do is I need to create rectangles on these boxes. So I'm going to come down here, I'm going to create a rectangle, and I'm going to create a rectangle from here to here. I'm going to create, click again, from here to there, and lastly from here to here. Now I need to change those to have no color and have an outline black of 1.5. Now I just held down the shift button and selected all three. I'm going to right click and go to properties. I'm going to change the fill color to no color, the outline color down here to black, and a width of 1.5. Apply and OK. The next thing that I want to do is I want to create another block, and it's going to a rectangle, and it's going to be from outside here to outside here. Now I'm going to change that color to 10% gray. So while it's already selected, I'm going to right click. So if it's not selected, pick it with the left mouse click and right click and go to properties. I'm going to change that to 10% gray, or gray 10%. Outline, I'm going to change to black, and the width is going to be 1.5. So click this, 1.5. Apply and OK. Now, the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to create another rectangle, and I'm going to draw it from this point to this point. I'm going to change its color, so I'm going to right click, go to properties, and I'm going to change its color to Arctic white. So pick and come to Arctic white. Outline color is going to be black, and it's going to be 1.5. Apply and OK. Alright, so far we've got our where we're going to put our legend and where we're going to put our north arrow and our text. Alright, the next thing that I want to do is I want to create my school logo and put it down here at the bottom. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up here to insert, and I'm going to insert a picture. Now you're going to have to browse out to where that picture is located, or where the logo is located. It's going to be in either a TIFF, or TIFF format. So I'm going to go to my desktop. That's where I saved mine. And I'm going to pick the TIFF file. I'm going to open, and it automatically drops it in. And all you have to do is grab one of the grips, grip it, and pull it over to where you want to set it. Now notice that it's snapping to the grids. So I'm going to right click on the outside and go guides, and I'm going to uncheck that. So I'm just going to drag it up. Okay. The other thing you want to do is you want this logo to stay in this drawing. If you don't do the next step, it will lose its path to this drawing. So I'm going to click on it, I'm going to right click, and I'm going to go to properties. Now this is where I save image as part of the document, apply and OK. Now if you're following the directions that were uploaded to Blackboard, this is one of the steps that's missing. So make sure you attach it as part of the document. The next thing that I want to insert is I want to insert a north arrow. So I'm going to select insert and north arrow. You can pick whatever north arrow you want, but the idea is simplicity in the drawing. You don't want to get something so fancy that people get confused on what it looks like. So it's your choice of what the north arrow looks like. I'm going to pick this one just to be different from what's in class. You can, what I have in the handwritten notes or the PDFs that have been uploaded is this one, but I'm going to use this one today. So I'm going to click OK, and I'm going to just drag it down here and set it in here. Move this over a little bit. The next thing that I got to put in here is going to be my scale bar. All right, remember when at the very beginning when I did the layout and then set the map projection, and I said go ahead and put the map scale up here at 1200. I need you to set it at 1200 again. This is going to affect how your scale bar looks. So I'm going to come up here, I'm going to insert, I'm going to click on the scale bar. The scale bar that I'm selecting is going to be alternate scale bar 2. Now I'm going to come in and I'm going to modify its properties. The first thing that I need to do is I need to adjust by width, and I'm going to change the units to feet. So every 100 feet is going to be a major division scale. The number of divisions I want is 100, so I only want 100 feet, but I want 5 subdivisions. That means that the 100 is going to be divided by 5, so every subdivision is going to be 20 feet. Okay? The gap I'm going to change down here is going to be 0.2. And where I want to label it is I want to label it below the center. Now, while we're doing this, this is just aesthetics, however you want it to look. So each drawing might be a little bit different, but try to be consistent when you do this. So the next thing is I'm going to go to numbers and marks. I'm going to change this to divisions, and I'm going to change this to above the bar. What I would suggest to get used to this is to actually play around with this as you're working on your template. So I'm going to change this to 0.5. All of the stuff that I'm doing is just the aesthetics, how the scale toolbar looks, how it fits into your drawing. The mark frequency stays no marks, and then you're just going to click apply and OK, and then you're going to select OK. So this is what it looks like in the end. So I need to scoot this over. Now you can also use your arrow keys on your keyboard to get these objects to move left, right, up, or down. All right. So now I've got my scale bar in here. The next thing that I need to do is I'll show you how to use the tool layouts to get this organized. So if I select, so I'm just going to hit shift and I'm going to select all 3. If you come down here, you can create them all to the center of one another. So now all these 3 objects are to the center. So if I picked it to the top, to the left, I'm just going to undo. You can get it organized. This is how you organize the drawing, as in spacing of text. So I just aligned vertical center. In the PDF instruction, there's a couple little videos on how the alignment works if you want to check that out. The next thing I need to do is I need to insert information about the document. So if you go and you submit this project to somebody, you want to know where the information is saved at. So I'm going to come up here to insert, and I'm going to come down and say dynamic text. So every time you save this template in a different place, it's going to update with different information. And I care about the document path. So now, on the document path, if I double click in it, and here's the thing, it's going to be, since I'm doing this at home, my document path is going to be different from the document path if you do it at your house or if you do it at school. Okay, so I'm going to change this text height here to be a different size. The way that I do that is I'm going to come in and I'm going to change the symbol. Okay, when I change the symbol, click on it. It's a little slow today. I can change the symbol here, and I'm going to change it to 0.5 and go OK. Apply and OK. Now, I could have changed the information using this also. I'd have to set the size, the font size first, and then insert my data. Now, I also want to add information based on who the author is. So I'm going to go Insert, Dynamic Text, and Author, and come over here. Now, I don't want 3 separate pieces of information, so all I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight this portion, not the word author. I'm going to go Control, Copy from my keyboard, hit Cancel, double click to activate the properties information of the document path, and then Control V for Control Paste. Apply and OK. Now, you're not going to see anything different until the last step of this, and I'll show you in 2 seconds. Now, the last thing that I want to show is I want to show you the dynamic text of date saved. So I'm going to click date saved, and I'm going to just move this up here. Double click, and I am going to highlight where it has the less than sign all the way to the greater than sign. Control copy. Okay. And then I'm going to double click where it says document path, and then control paste. Apply and OK. Now, I'm just going to move this, oops, undo, grab the wrong thing. I'm just going to move this down here below it. In the information in the PDF, I actually have it a little bit above it. That means I need to shift all this information a little bit up so I can get this document path. Now, you can either put it above it or below it. I don't have a preference one way or the other. Each company's going to do whatever you're going to be told what to do. Now, I'm going to highlight the date saved, and I'm going to hit the delete key on the keyboard. You can also right-click and delete. It does both the same thing. Now, like I said, notice that this information down here on the document path hasn't changed. So what I need to do is I'm going to come up here to File, and I'm going to go Map Document Properties. You can do this the very first. You can do this the last. Let's create this title, and we're going to call Letter Template. Okay. The author is going to be you. So I'm going to just write, but I'm just going to write my name, S. Bowling. Okay. I want to make a thumbnail. The reason that I'm going to make a thumbnail is when you go, well, let me change that. Letter _ portrait template. Okay. Back to the thumbnail. When you make the thumbnail, it's easier to see what that drawing looks like by clicking on thumbnail. So I'm going to go ahead and make a thumbnail, apply, and OK. Now notice I'm going to go ahead and, whoops, zoom in. Let me zoom into the bottom here. You can actually see my name, and then it says Never Never. Well, that's too close, but I've just noticed that. So I'm going to hit this arrow to get out of the command, double click. Something I noticed, I'm going to put a space in between these. Apply, and OK. It just puts a space in between here. I just noticed that. So I'm going to zoom the whole page just to get back. Now, I'm going to go ahead and go File and save this document, cancel. Save this document on my desktop. I'm just going to overwrite the portrait template and go save. And yes. Now, the next thing that I want to do is I need to go ahead and put a couple more pieces of text in. Now, if you look at, and I'm going to show you the finished product, if you look here at the bottom, it says legend and source. I actually somehow skipped this step earlier. So I'm going to, it's no big deal. I'm going to go ahead and update this information. So I need to go ahead and write Valencia College, Introduction to GIS, name of map, figure, and legend and source. So I'm going to go back to my drawing. I'm going to zoom in. So I'm going to use the zoom in down here at the bottom because it's with my layout information. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to create the text. Alright, so the next thing I want to do is I want to create this text like I said. So I'm going to come down here and I'm going to change that text height back to 10. So I'm going to click on this text and I'm just going to pick, whoops, notice that it changed that text height because that's what I had just selected. Let me escape out of there. I'm going to pick that and I'm going to put that back to 5. There we go. So I'm going to pick that piece of text that I just created. I'm going to double click and I'm going to write in caps Valencia College. Actually, I'm going to do, I like uppercase. You can either have it uppercase or lowercase. I'm just mostly uppercase letters. Pick one, right? Valencia College. Now, when I do this, I actually want the text size different sizes. Like when I showed you before, I had the text size. Let me go back to this real quick, show you the difference. See, this text size is smaller than this. This name of map is actually a point size font of 10, whereas this is a font size of 7 point. So let me go back. Now, to get this to be smaller, the way that you write this is basically a script. It's going to be the less than sign, capital F, N, T, lowercase size equals, quote, 7, close quote, greater than sign. Okay? Next line is going to say, all caps, introduction, if I could spell today, introduction to GIS. Now I'm going to use the less than sign, backspace, F, capital F and T, greater than sign. Enter, less than sign, BLD, which stands for bold, less than sign, name of map, less than sign, backslash BL2 down here, less than sign BLD, backslash BLD, greater than. Take a look at that. That's what yours is going to end up looking like. That allows you to have this to be a 7-point font and this to be bold with the name of map. I'm also going to have it centered. Apply and OK. I'm just going to grab this and I'm going to bring it down. Now, notice this is a box and this piece of text. When I highlight that, I want to get that text aligned vertical to the center. So I'm going to pick that. Oops, actually, and it matters which order. So I need to pick the text first and then the box. And then I'm going to say align to center. And that made my text drop down. Now the other thing that I can do is I can make it align to the center. So it's actually center of the box both horizontally and vertically. All right. The next piece of text that I need to write is the figure. So that figure text is going to be 10-point font. So I'm just going to click that and pick here. And I'm going to backspace and type in, messed that up, cancel. I'm going to hit the arrow. Remember, the arrow key gets you out of a command. So I'm going to pick text, pick the point, and I'm going to hit escape, double click, and I'm going to type in the word capital figure. Capital letters, the word figure. Apply and OK. Now, I want this figure centered to the box. So I'm going to pick, the word figure is already picked, but if it wasn't, I just pick the word figure and then pick the box. Now, you're going to have to use shift. So notice that I picked and then picked the box, and notice they both didn't hold. So I'm going to pick the word figure, hit the shift key, and pick the box. I'm going to align it vertically centered, and then I'm going to align it to the center. All right. The next thing that I want to do is I want to put in the legend vertically here. So I'm going to use the text, pick, and I'm going to type in legend. Not all caps. Capital L, and the rest of them lowercase. All right. Oops, it would help if I could type. All right, and escape. Now I'm going to double click that, and I'm going to rotate that to a 90 degree angle. All right, apply, and OK. Now I want to change it. I'm going to make this simple. I'm going to change the text height to 8. And I can bold it here also. So you can do it in the two different places. You can double click and affect the text here, or you can modify the text using the bottom, however you wish. Now, I'm going to move the piece of text over to here. Now, I'm going to highlight. Actually, I'm going to do it here. Nope. You can use your layout keys to get it centered vertically and get it centered aligned. When I center the line, it puts it in the center of that. So I'm just going to undo that. So I want it centered vertically. Now I'm just going to let it, I call it eyeballing, it's just a visual, so aesthetically, where does it look best? The last piece of text that I need is the word source. Now, when you're making maps, you always have to state what the source, where you got the data from. If not, people don't tend to trust just blank pieces of information. They want to know where you obtained the information. So I'm going to go ahead and create another piece of text, and I'm going to type in source. I'm going to click it. I'm going to change that to a size 5, actually size 6. It's a bit small. And I'm just going to bring it up here. I think that's too small. So I'm going to change this guide and drop it down 1. And I'm going to drop this box down to here. Oops. Notice that it didn't snap. I'm going to right click. This isn't in the step-by-step instructions, written instructions, but this is just me cleaning it up as I go along. Yeah, I think that's okay. No, I'm going to undo all that. So I am going to leave it as is. I thought about changing this to make it a little bit cleaner. So I'm going to hover over the top of that one, just move over to the top, right click and clear that guide. I was wrong. I liked it per what I had written in the instructions. If you don't have the written instructions, that's okay. You can watch me as I do this. So I'm going to just use my arrow keys to get this in here. Still seems a bit tight. You know what? I am going to make it back down like that. And I'm going to change this one to 7. And I'm going to move it down. And there we go. So it looks like that. Now, this is just options, how you want to make it look. You could even move this one over so the legend's on the inside and the source is on the outside. I'm making the source a little bit bigger this time. All right. Okay, so now I've got my template set up. I'm going to go over to Zoom whole page, and I'm going to bring this layers back. And I'm just going to snap it to here and snap it back down to here. The reason it's snapping, remember, is because my guides and my snap to guides are. The cyan lines are my guides. Now, you can also get rid of all these guides. They're still there. You could just hide, oops. You can clear all the guides. I want to see if you can turn them off. Nope, I fibbed. I'm not going to turn them off. They don't print, so I'm just going to leave it on. I am going to clear this guide, and I am going to clear this guide. Just because I want to be able in the future see the guidelines that I've been using. Again, these don't print, so it's not that big of a deal. Now, remember, notice that I'm going to go ahead and zoom in back down here. Notice the time. It states what time I just saved it as. When I go File, Save, and Save Again, it just updated that time. All right. Now I'm going to zoom back out, and I'm going to go File, and I'm going to save as this time, because I'm going to save it as the template. I'm going to overwrite it. And the last thing that I want to do is I'm going to update my map properties, that thumbnail. So it's already saved, so I should be set. Okay? And now, when you go, if you go and go File, New, and I go to Templates, or sorry, Browse for More, I can go to Desktop. Oops. I can see what that template looks like. That's the purpose of creating that thumbnail. All right? Now, I'm going to cancel that. Make sure you save this to your desktop and email it to yourself, or save it to your flash drive. That's it for this video. If you have questions, just let me know. Send me an email.